Hi everybody, I'm back with a new Beatles Finds update. Stuff that I got recently, and in this particular batch, I'm going to be showing at least one grail, that I'll call it, and some records. And I'm also going to be showing some books and a couple of cassette tapes. So let's go for the ride, okay? To start with, I'm going to start with the so-called grail. It's a record that I've wanted in my collection for a long time. It's an unofficial release. Johnny and the Moondogs, Silver Days. This is a record that I had in my original collection, and as you know, for the last 6 years, I've been trying to get all the records back that I used to have that I had sold. And this is one of them that's been hard to get. I don't really go online that much. If I went online more often, I could have got this 1, 2, 3. And some of the records that I got back, I did do that for. But you can't get them all right away. And some of them I found in the wild, most of the stuff. Well, anyway, it's always a lot more fun when you find this in the wild, and especially because this particular record I found in an unlikely record store that I never thought would be there. It says, it's really called Airtime, I think. Airtime, Johnny and the Moondogs, Silver Days, and the back had a little sticker there that told you what tracks were on it. Now, the record that I had back in the day had like a silver kind of label. This one just has a plain white label on it. What's really good about this is, well, side 2 and half of side 1 isn't really that exciting. Let me say that first. Side 2 is really pretty much tracks from the BBC sessions, which of course have been bootlegged so many times and are now out officially. So they're like just the same old thing with that. And that takes over side 2 and half of side 1. But the other half of side 1 is where the gold is on here. It's a really good concert from 1963 with the Beatles doing I Saw Her Standing There, From Me to You, Money, That's What I Want, Roll Over Beethoven, You Really Got a Hold on Me, She Loves You, and Twist and Shout. Now the thing is, I'm not sure if it's Sweden. I cannot remember off the top of my head where it's from, recorded. Yeah, Stockholm, Sweden. Now the thing is, you know, I got to be honest with you, the Beatles anthology that came out, the 3-disc series, I'm not even sure if, I think some of the tracks were on there from this. And that's how long it's been since I actually listened to those. Okay, I'm ashamed to say. But I don't know. I'm still thinking this is really good and worth having. I remember back in the day, this was really a really good sounding, clear concert, really great sound quality. And back then, in like the late 70s, early 80s, whenever this came out, this was like the only way to get a show like that. And it's one of the best bootlegs because of that. Now, this one, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I've shown this one before. I know I showed this in a flea market video. This is the Beatles How Pink Is Your Panther? The Peter Sellers tape. And that's really a good cover. I mean, that is really, really nice. Good picture of the Beatles together and John laying down there. I like that. And I've always liked the back cover too, where you see them sitting down defiantly, even though it says, please keep off the grass. I always take photographs like that. I've got a whole photo album of things. Please do not walk across this. Please do not open the door. Please do not sit here or whatever. And I can never resist the opportunity to borrow from this idea and have somebody take out a camera, have a picture of me defying it. What a bad guy I am, huh? Anyway, this is on colored vinyl, or should I say white. There's the first side, but the second side has the label with a photo that you see on the cover there, which is pretty nice. Now, I know that Beatle Vinyl 85, my good friend Marv out there, hey Marv, I know that he was inspired by my last video where I got this at the flea market to order this for himself, so I'm glad he's doing that. You know, a lot of stuff here, all of it really, yes, it's from the White Album sessions, or a White Album rough mixes, really is what it is. And I actually played this whole entire record, and at first I was a little dismayed because I thought, you know, it doesn't sound that different to me. And then within a few tracks, it really sounded very different, and it was really worth hearing. Sexy Sadie is completely different and a different verse, and there's just a lot of good stuff here. I really recommend this if you can get it. Okay, so All right, next album up is, I believe, an import. Let me see if I got it. Oh, yes. It is, oh, okay, I'm trying to look exactly. Mexican version of Help. This is not in good shape, this particular album. You know, but, so therefore I got it cheaply. You know, it's a little, you can see, like, bumpy. But I'm fine. I mean, you know, if I can get it in great shape one day, terrific. But this is so good just to have. And I've already played this and really enjoyed it. It's really the Help soundtrack. And I'm sure, you know, this is not an original. This looks like a later pressing from the 70s, I'm guessing. 70s press on the EMI label. And this is really just the American Help soundtrack on this particular record. It's got the instrumentals, and I never resist a chance to defend that album because I grew up with the Help version from the U.S. Capitol, and that's all I knew for a long time until I got the UK. But I really like the instrumentals because it's a movie soundtrack. Movie soundtracks have instrumentals along with the vocals. So I'm perfectly fine with it. You want to hear just the vocals? We could listen to the UK version, not a problem. All right, well, that does it for the vinyl. Now I'm going to show a couple of cassette tapes. First one is, oops, I got a little bit sticky on there. George Harrison's Cloud 9. You know, I never resist an opportunity to pick up a cassette tape. This was $1.99. I even played it. I have a cassette player here, and right next to me, and I played this already. I never resist an opportunity to. There's not much there. George's guitar, like the back cover. You know, to get a cassette tape. I collect cassette tapes. I collect 8-tracks. You know, reel-to-reels. I've seen Beatles reel-to-reels, but they're very expensive, so I never was able to get them. Now, this I showed on my recent Record Store Day video. I'm going to show it again. It's Paul McCartney's excuse for a release for Record Store Day. It's this cassette tape. Yeah, and I understand a lot of people pointed out to me, and I was saying, oh, it's not even attractive looking or anything. Yeah, I get the idea. Obviously, just like he did with the Ram album, the mono Ram that looks like a bootleg kind of thing. He wanted to make this very generic. It looks just like the tape that he was working on with Elvis Costello, who I really should call Declan McManus, because I really do not like calling him Elvis. There's only one Elvis, and that's Presley. But anyhow, see how crude it is. I didn't open it up yet. Somebody said in the comments, Deadwack66 says, you know you'll never play that. Well, I can't wait to play it. I'm going to play it. Just like I played the George Harrison cassette. My girlfriend for Christmas bought me a nice cassette player. And I've been wanting to have stuff to play on it, so I got some stuff. Anyway, I'm just going to say again that it's pretty odd of Paul to put this out for Record Store Day when you consider that supposedly the reason why he didn't include this in his recent deluxe Flowers in the Dirt collection was because he didn't want to put too many bonus tracks. He had some bonus tracks on there, but I'm talking about B-sides and singles and things that were not in there. He said that a lot of people these days, they just really want streaming, and the future is in streaming and not physical media. So what does he do? He releases a cassette tape. It was just a step down even from a compact disc. I mean, you might as well give us a compact disc, or better yet, for Record Store Day, imagine this on a nice multi-track EP vinyl 7-inch record. But anyway, I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to add this to my Flowers in the Dirt collection. And before I go on to show the rest of my stuff, I want to just segue into a story. I was at the another store recently, and while I was at the store, they had the big deluxe edition of Paul's Flower in the Dirt. And even though I wasn't sure, but on the fence whether I was going to buy it or not, I said in my original video where I was complaining about the download situation that I wasn't sure if I was going to buy it. I may or may not. I always left the door open. Decided I'm going to get it. I'm going to be grateful for what we got rather than what we didn't get. So I will get it. But the interesting thing is that particular day in the store, I took the record in my the box set with the CDs and DVDs and book and everything in my hand, and the Flowers in the Dirt set was $149.99. $150. I actually put that under my arm, and I walked around for 20 minutes looking at other things, and all the while thinking if I really wanted to pay that. And I decided at the end I did not want to pay that for that particular release. And a lot of people are going to say, well, you just told us the Sgt. Pepper record. Oh, what are you complaining about the price of the Sgt. Pepper record? Well, there's a difference. The Sgt. Pepper record is worth it. And this is not worth that much. It's an individual's call, obviously, what you think is worth it. But I put it back on the shelf, and I said, no, for this particular release, and most of Paul's releases, I wanted to go down. My price I'm looking to pay with these is $60 to $75 for these McCartney Archive sets. Maybe $99.99 somewhere down the line, but not $150. So I put it back, and that was that. Now, the last stuff that's back here, as I'm looking at the clock here, to 11 minutes, we have books. And I'm going to start by showing you 3 books that I was happy to finally get hold of. This is the Beatles Story on Capitol Records. Nice Bruce Spicer book. I'm really trying to complete my Bruce Spicer collection. I was able to get a whole bunch of them at the Fest for Beatles Fans this year when I got there. In between being sick, I mean, I've had like bouts with sickness this year, and luckily I wasn't sick for that. And, I can go on forever showing all of these. You know how many pages there are, but this is all the kind of stuff that we want with regard to the Beatles Story. There's all the, in the U.S., right, Capitol Records. There's the green Capitol label, which is always nice. I'm really happy to have this book and the story of all the singles and all the releases. These Bruce Spicer books really are invaluable if you can get them for a good price. And of course, the only reason you're looking at me holding this book up is because I got it for a good price. And I'll tell you that the guy originally wanted $125 for this book. Then that was back in 2009. It stayed in the store for a while. Then the sticker was crossed over and it went to $100. Finally, I got it for $50. And a lot of people will think that's still expensive, and it is. But for these particular books, if you can find any of these Bruce Spicer books for $50 or under, and I got some of them for under $50, I would say don't hesitate if you want them, because it's a good price. Another Bruce Spicer book, The Beatles on Apple Records. I already have the white version of this. The white sequel is the book that follows this. It's the Solo Beatles on Apple. I have the Solo Beatles collection. Now I needed the Beatles collection, and of course we know what that's going to be. It's going to be all of their Beatles on Apple. Look at this. I don't want to. See, in my excitement to show it, I don't want to split the seams here. But I mean, there's like a poster. It's here for the original White Album. Trying to, when you show books and you want to get a nice picture. I mean, it's just the history of all of the Apple releases. With the Beatles. And what always happens is, I wind up going crazy here. And looking at all the pages. Okay, last of the big books is something that I finally got, Price Guide for the Beatles American Records, which is by Perry Cox and Frank Daniels, forward by Bruce Spicer. This is a book everyone's always looking up information in. My record store had this for a long time, and I would always go there and look up information, but I didn't have it. This only cost me $35. I don't usually like talking about prices, but you have got to have these books. They're very important when you want to talk about different labels and you want to look up the price guides. Now, granted, this book is kind of old. You have like tapes. You got like 8-track tapes. This book is a little older now, but it goes through the Beatles' careers and the solo Beatle careers. spending a lot of time here looking at this stuff. Just give you a quick look at some of the solo. Open up to a page of John. It goes, up to more later releases like this one here, 1986. And on the bottom of this page, 1986, Metal Love Avenue. So it really goes a long way, and I heartily recommend it. Now, I'm going to show the remaining books that I have here. First, I got a little paperback, The Beatles Help. This is a really nice condition, this one overall. Even the first page is out. Copyright 1965. It's an original. Don't want to show too much of it. If you can spot some of the pictures, great. But I don't want to break the seam, the binding. And already this page is out. I didn't realize that. But that's what you have in these kind of books. But so I said it was in good condition. It sure looks it very solid, but I guess a few of the pages did separate from the glue. Then I got The Unmaking of the Beatles, a famous book called Apple to the Core. Paperback, and in pretty good shape overall. Okay, last three items here, all hardcover books. These are hardcover versions of books that I'd already had in softcover paperback, or this one here, The Man Who Gave the Beatles Away. This is the biography of autobiography of Alan Williams with help from William Marshall. A lot of people have mixed feelings on this book. They think that there's a lot of baloney that's in here, that Alan Williams, who just died late last year, had in here. He thinks a lot of it's a lot of malarkey. A lot of people think a lot of it's a lot of malarkey, and I don't really know. But there's a few pictures there. And the Hunter Davies book. This is an original 1968 press publishing of press. I'm so used to saying that from publication. The authorized biography by Hunter Davies, original. And, this is worth it to me just for the actual jacket, dust cover. But, it's not in great shape, and there's a tear there. I kind of taped it from the inside. And I'll take good care of this. I put this stuff in anything I get, books, magazines, anything, I put in plastic baggies, and that's what this is going to be. There's the actual hardcover itself after the jacket's off. And I don't know, you might be able to see they got the impressions here of the Beatles signatures. So this is a vintage piece, and it's nice to have. I've never really read this, I mean, I had a reissue that had this cover on it once, later printings, but yeah, really nice. Okay, last item. This is Pete Shotton, John Lennon's childhood friend, who just died also, just passed away. Pete Shotton with Nicholas Schaffner, who wrote The Beatles Forever, and he passed on, I think, in the 80s. But anyway, John Lennon in My Life by Pete Shotton. And this is basically just to have it. I like it. They got the signatures there embossed, Pete Shotton and Nicholas Schaffner. To have it like this instead of the soft cover that I have, which is the soft cover is about the same size, but I always prefer the hardcover books. So anyway, that's it for this Beatles update. It was a real Lulu, and I had a good time showing everything, so I hope you had enjoyed yourselves watching it. I'm really making a lot of sense the way I speak. I hope you enjoyed yourselves watching it. I'm not going to edit this out. It takes too long. Cheers, everybody.